Hey guys, MATH6996 Applied Research, the first course, 2 credit hours. My name's Doug Darbro. Think y'all know me. Um, just want to go through the syllabus with you and explain what the expectations are for this course and really for the 3 course sequence, because it wouldn't make a lot of sense if you're taking this course if you're not committed to taking the 3 course Applied Research sequence. So guys, you got my information. I've actually changed offices. I've now moved across the hall in Dr. Maxon's old office, my new office. But I'm sure if you come to campus, you can find me. Email, phone. I don't give out my cell often, but I do with graduate level courses. So there you go, guys. Let me tell you what's up with this. Let's get to the key parts. This is the first course of a 3 course, what we call a research sequence. And I think I've told you guys before that when the OBR, Ohio Board of Regents, came to Shawnee State University and asked us if we would create a master's program, it was clear that the intent of the program was not the intent of a traditional master's in mathematics. And some people get all caught up in that, and I don't, because I talked to those folks the day they came to campus, and I know why they gave us that massive amount of money to start our program, and it was to kind of balance providing the mathematical content with something else education related. And I think I've told you guys before, we really searched and struggled for what that other component would look like, and we toyed around with a lot of ideas. We toyed around with partnering with the Department of Education and having those other 9 hours as kind of pedagogy courses, or courses in pedagogical courses. But we decided against that for a variety of reasons. So I kind of, again, thought this through. What could we offer that would be beneficial? And I thought a research sequence, because turning people into researchers, creating these research animals, if you will, forcing you to think like a researcher is really advantageous for universities as we partner with high schools and dual credit teachers to offer our courses. So that's what we've got. Is it perfect? No, it's not. But I think it's very good, and I think it's something that many of us are proud of. So, guys, the focus on this particular course. Let me go ahead and just tell you there. The focus on the research sequence as a whole is essentially to create your master's thesis. The goal of, at least the primary goal of this course, is to select a topic for your master's thesis. So there are 3 targets for this course. Target number 1 is you need to choose who you're going to work with. And I'll tell you, this is a lot of work. It's a tremendous amount of work for me, especially in the 2nd and the 3rd sequence courses. And I think we're going to end up with about 10 people in our class, or maybe 9. I'm not for sure yet. One's kind of going back and forth whether or not he wants to be degree seeking or not. But I can't do with, I'm currently on 3 doctoral dissertation committees, getting ready to sign up for a 4th one. I couldn't do 10 master's theses. So we're teaming you up. So one of the first things you need to do is decide who you're going to work with. Teams should consist of 2 to 3 students. I think 2 students works best, but I kind of hope you guys will team up in 3s, because that'll be less work for me. And again, it's not that I'm being lazy here. It's just that these things are a tremendous amount of work. Keep in mind that who you work with, that regular group Google Hangout sessions are required. So if you run into kind of a wacky situation where you want to work with someone, but they can only work at night and you can only work during the day, it's not going to work. I mean, because unless there's some flexibility from one side. Guys, you got to meet with me as a group. So keep that in mind. But, we can it doesn't necessarily have to be in the same location, same area. Someone from Cleveland can work with someone in Cincinnati these days because with Google Hangout and Google Docs and Google Sheets, these things that we'll learn, it's so easy to share documents and edit documents together from a common site. So the second thing that you guys are going to do once your team members, and by the way, what you need to do is once you decide who you're going to work with, you have to get that approved by me. So send me an email and say, hey, I want to work with Bill and Joe, and well, there's not a Bill and Joe in this class, so don't work with Bill and Joe. But I want to work with Travis and Aaron, whatever it may be, and I'm sure I'll approve it. Second thing, you guys need to come up with a topic for your research project. So by the end of the course, you and your team will have submitted a research proposal, and chances are I will approve it. And you may be sitting there thinking, well, I don't even know what a research proposal is. I don't even know how to write one of those things. Well, that's part of this class, is teaching you about scientific inquiry and how to conduct research. And the initial stage of conducting research is to prepare and present a proposal. And what you guys will do is at the final exam, you will present your proposals orally and in writing, and I will hopefully approve those, and we'll go on to the next step of conducting research. The last thing is you and your team must get IRB approval. It's part of your grade, and you'll see that the grading scale is kind of wacky, and I'll explain that to you in just a second. So let's say you're working with a school district in Columbus and another one in Cleveland, and of course you're working through Shawnee State University because you're working under me, and you're taking the class here. So potentially you would need to get 3 IRB approvals. Now, sometimes these school districts, and again, hypothetically in Columbus and Cleveland, may pass the buck and say, as long as you have IRB approval from Shawnee State University, then we will approve your data collection, your study. So it works differently, and those are just part of the things that you have to seek out and get approved, and just find out the way that the school districts are doing those approvals. Because Google Hangout sessions are critical, guys, you need to have a basic understanding of how the program works, how to join the online sessions. The very first thing that you need to do is get a Google Plus account and add me and your other team members. There are, if you've never done one of these, there are, how to join Google Hangout sessions. There are tutorial videos on YouTube and different places. So you need to put that on your to-do list. Guys, you'll also need access to what we call Google Docs and Google Sheets. Google Docs allow us to put up a Word document, and we can all log on, and we can edit this and watch what the other one's doing and talk it through. Google Sheets is a way that we can share more complicated spreadsheets. So that Google Sheets becomes more of an issue in the second, once we start to collect our data. It becomes more of an issue in the second and third sequence courses. But Google Docs is something you're going to need to sign up for immediately. Course goals and objectives. Upon successful completion of this course, you guys will be able to formulate research questions and construct appropriate hypotheses. You'll be able to identify and discuss potential problems and biases with certain research designs. And you, along with your team members, will design an action research project. I say they're individually or with partners. It would be a really rare circumstance that I would approve an individual research project. Guys, I just don't simply have the time to do 9 or 10 or 8 individual master's theses. So now, your focus has got to be on something dealing with mathematics education, and I say here a mathematics education component. So when you're thinking about this, you need to think about more broadly defined a mathematics education component, which could be geared toward improving instruction. It could be geared toward improving a program. You will have a lot of flexibility as long as it arguably, loosely, has some connection to mathematics education components. So, and the way this will work is, you and your team will get together. You guys will be meeting Google Hangout sessions without me. And probably our first meeting together when it comes to coming up with a research topic is I will have you come up with 5 possibilities. And we'll go through those 5 possibilities, and what usually happens, because I've been through this now 3 times, I'll say 1, don't like that at all, get rid of it. Now we're down to 4. This one's okay, but I don't think it's doable, and I'll point it out the reasons why. That one, I don't know, do you really want to do that? And typically we can get it down to a couple, and then we'll start to focus, usually on one of those and try to tweak it and get it to where it's, that the results are meaningful to the mathematics education community. Guys, disability statement, if any of that applies to you, you know what you need to do. You need to let me know, and I'll do everything in my power to ensure that you get the accommodations that you're entitled to by law. Now, calculating your final grade, there are 100 points possible. The very first thing you're going to do, probably around week 3, is you're going to perform what's called a journal critique. And that's going to be worth 10 points. About week 5, you're going to, I'm going to give you access to thousands of master's theses and doctoral dissertations that have been done in the state of Ohio. You're going to go in and pick something, and you're going to critique it according to this outline that I'll provide to you later, and that's worth 10 points. And then your master's thesis proposal, both orally and writing, and check off your IRB approval from all institutions that are potentially involved in your study is worth 80 points. Now, the grading scale is kind of wacky. To get an A, you got to have all 100 points. Now, you got to throw out your typical way of thinking about points. If you submit this first journal critique, and I think it's okay, it's not about, okay, here's a 7 out of 10, it's okay, here's a 9 out of 10. It's going to be either okay or it's not going to be okay. It's just like a doctoral dissertation. They're not all the same quality. In fact, I've seen good ones. I've seen horrible dissertations. But nevertheless, they were acceptable according to their doctoral advisor and doctoral team of advisors. So that's kind of the way the grading works from here on out. It's either accepted or it's not. So if you submit something, I read it, and it's okay. It's excellent, average, good. Again, it doesn't matter. It's accepted. Then you get your 10 points. If it's not accepted, it's just not up to snuff, it's something I don't think you did your best work, I'll give it back to you and tell you, well, it's not going to work. Do it again. And you're going to submit that, or you're not going to get through the class. The master's thesis, doctoral dissertation critique, same thing. I'll either accept it or I won't. If I accept it, you get 10 points. If I don't accept it, I'll return it to you and say, hey, why don't you kind of, why don't you expand on this, this, and this? And then you'll resubmit it, and chances are you'll get your 10 points. The master's thesis proposal and IRB approval is really dichotomous. You either did it or you didn't. It was either accepted or it wasn't accepted. So the 80 points is either 80 points or 0 points. Your IRB approval has to be done. Your master's thesis proposal has to be accepted. And when you get both of those, you get your 80 points. So, guys, you're going to end up with an A in the class. I'll just go ahead and tell you. And that's to get 100 points. I've given a little wiggle room for a B, 95 to 99. Let's say somebody just digs their feet in or refuses to to improve their critique. If it's pretty good, okay, I'll give you maybe give you a B. But anything below 94 points, you're probably going to fail the course. And I'll leave that open to where I give you either C or an F. So you can put this one down. You can say, I had this wacky professor in graduate school, Dr. Darbro, where if you got a 95%, you got a B. And if you got 94 or below, that should be, actually that should be below 95. If you got below 95%, you could fail the course. Well, yeah, that's the way it is. But guys, I think I know all of you, and I'll tell you right now, you're going to end up with an A in the class because you're going to do it the right way. Guys, what we hope to do is we hope to do action research, and we hope that we end up with something that's publishable. Of my 3 master's theses from last year, we had one that turned out that I think is publishable. In fact, we're going to start working together to get that published. The other 2, really no fault of their own, just didn't, just chose a topic or ran into something. I'm not going to get into too many details there because I don't want to get into too much, but there was just some reason that what they collected or what they studied wasn't, in my opinion, publishable. They still get their master's. They still completed their degree, but they just didn't have the quality research that was worth sharing, in some education community other than locally at Shawnee. So, gang, that is it. It's very simple. There's not going to be, like the classes I've taught before, there's not going to be a lot of videos. I think there will probably be maybe 12 to 15 total videos, but most of the time in this class is going to be spent with your team and me on Google Hangout sessions. Trust me, a 2-hour course, you typically think you're going to spend about 2 hours in class and about half of that, an hour, working on assignments and projects and different things, studying for exams and so on and so forth. You're going to spend, on average, far more than 3 hours a week on this course once we get started. It'll start out a little slow, but it's going to be a lot of work. But it has a lot of payoff too. I mean, turning you into a researcher, getting you to not only think like a researcher, but to talk like a researcher, walk like a researcher, act goofy like a researcher. Now seriously, there's a way to write things. I had a guy in my class last semester. I could tell he was a good writer. If he was going to tell a story, if he was going to write a novel, if he was going to become very theatrical in his writing, he was going to be a very good writer. But he was a horrible writer when it came to publishing research. And we really struggled. And he got mad at me. I know he did. He can say whatever he wants to. I know he got mad at me, but I wouldn't let him off the hook. He was going to write like a researcher or get with me. And in the end, it was both. He got frustrated with me and ended up creating a document that was written with a research tone. So, guys, those are the types of things that you learn. Okay, I don't expect you to know all that right now. Those are the types of things that I am going to teach you in this class. So, guys, that's it. Have a good one. I'll be posting some more videos here soon.